On today's episode of Left Off the Map, Henry Terry is heading to one of Hobart's most popular restaurants, Landscape. In the kitchen, I'm making Bolognese with a slight tweak, but to start the episode, I'm joined in the kitchen by my two kids as we make one of their favourite desserts. Chocolate self-saucing pudding is a classic dessert that can be made really quickly at home if you need something to go after dinner and you're in a bit of a rush. It takes probably an hour from start to finish, but the good thing is it's a one dish wonder. Everything goes into one dish, you cook it in there and you can serve it out of that. You don't need any mixers or anything. So you can just mix everything in a bowl. You don't need your stand mixer or anything like that. First thing you have to do, like with making most puddings, is separate out the dry ingredients from the wet ingredients. So our dry ingredients, we've got a cup of self-raising flour, 1 cup of self-raising flour, half a cup of sugar, and about 1/4 cup of cocoa. There are dry ingredients. So I'll mix those together so they're well combined and then make a well in the middle. All right, well in the middle. In there I'm gonna pop an egg, some milk and some butter. So 1 egg, I need about 50 grams of butter, which I'm gonna melt. So about 50 grams of butter. Melt my butter, my egg can go into that well. Start with half a cup of milk. We'll probably need a little bit more milk as we go. And with a fork, I just want to whisk the egg and the milk together inside that well, just until it's loosely combined. All right, so we'll wait till our butter melts, then pop our butter in on top of that and bring the wet and the dry ingredients together. All right, butter's almost melted. I can turn that off. Going in. Now let's mix all this together. So that's sort of the pudding consistency that you want, or the cake batter consistency that you want. 1 more dash of milk. And a teaspoon of vanilla paste to that as well. Mix that last little bit of milk in, and that's our cake batter or our pudding batter made. The last bit we need to make is the self-saucing component of it. The kettle's on. I'm going to cook it in this little pudding container. You just need a oven-safe dish. So batter in. It should come about halfway up. Container. So the way in which the self-saucing component works is that as the cake cooks, the water, sugar and cocoa mixture will fall to the bottom. So as the cake cooks and rises, that mixture falls to the bottom and that becomes our sauce on the bottom of our cake. So we need some sugar, about 1 cup, about 3/4 cup probably. Sprinkle that on top. Some cocoa. Same, about 1/4 cup of cocoa. Sprinkled on top again. And then about 1.5 cup, 1.25 cups of boiling water to sit on top. You should have enough that it sort of just comes to just below the capacity of your baking dish. Okay, so we'll just wait for our water to boil, pour that 1.5 cups on top, and then it goes straight into the oven. As that cake cooks, the cake will rise through the sauce. The sugar, the cocoa, and the water will mix together, and that'll fall to the bottom. And you'll end up with self-saucing pudding. All right, well, look who turned up right when the chocolate pudding came out of the oven, which is pretty good timing from you two, isn't it? Yep. Now, you guys have this all the time. Nan normally makes it, so we'll have to see if mine's as good as Nan's. Okay?
Okay.
What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Reckon it'll be good?
Yeah. It's floating like a boat on top of it. Yeah, it actually is. You've got a bit too much sauce in it.
Too much sauce?
Yeah,
Don't you like the sauce, though?
Yeah, we do. That's funny.
Shake the sauce off the spoon.
Yeah, shake the sauce off the spoon. This be so warm.
There you go, Charlie.
Can I eat it?
Eat up. Do you want any ice cream?
No.
No, just the pudding.
Wait, have you got any cream?
Some cream, yeah, I can get you some cream. Want to try it and see what you think?
Can you go get some?
Yeah, try it first though, see if it's good enough without cream. How is it?
Good.
How is it, buddy?
Cream.
Oh, you want some cream? Is it better than Nan's?
Oh, that's the same. Good.
That's the same, right? It's the same gooder. All right, I'll get you some cream, mate. All right, well, that's it. Wonderful day in the kitchen. Any day that ends with these two is a good day in the kitchen. I'll get him some cream to have with his chocolate pudding, and we'll see you next time on Left Off the Map.
Here we are at Landscape Restaurant. Thanks very much for having me, Dave. So we're situated in the Hunter Street precinct on the Hobart waterfront, cracking location. Tell me a little bit about Landscape Restaurant. Why Landscape?
Yep. So Landscape Restaurant, we take our name from the beautiful landscape paintings we have on our walls, all by artist John Glover, so Tasmanian artist, originally from the UK, and he came down here back in the mid-1830s at the ripe age in his 60s.
Oh, yeah. That's old for back then, isn't it?
It's really old, and it's a long trip, and really known as the father of landscape painting in Tasmania.
Yeah. Very famous here in Tassie. And so all of the artwork here is by John Glover?
Yep, everything in our main dining room. These are all original artworks from John Glover. And then in our private dining room, we have a collection of Glover Prize winners as well.
The Glover Prize, that's famous. And that is purely a prize based off landscape painting, is that right?
Yep, cool. Yeah, Tasmanian landscape.
Nice. And so the restaurant itself, what inspiration do you draw on for your food?
Absolutely, so it has to be Tasmanian. Again, great landscapes, great produce, everything Tasmanian. It's the best stuff you can get. So we use the best producers from the best cuts of steak. We have an asado grill, so a big pit of fire and flame and smoke, smoking up some beautiful cuts of beef.
Amazing. I have heard that you use whiskey barrels to cook your steak.
We do, yeah.
That's
so,
unreal.
again, drawing on Tasmania's booming industries, where we got some old whiskey barrels that we get, and we chop them up and we use them as fuel for our grill.
That is a phenomenal idea, and I can't wait just to see how that flavour transfers
it's amazing.
onto the plate. Yeah, it's a real privilege to be eating here today. Dave, what have we got on the menu today? You've organised a feed for myself.
Yep, so I've got some steak tartare, again, from Cape Rim. That comes out with some smoked egg yolk, oat crisp, beautiful cut of beef there, and then also some Stanley Bay octopus, which has been smoked over that grill as well.
Oh, you're talking my language. I dare that. Beef tartare is like my favourite dish, so can't wait to try it.
Beautiful.
This smells and looks heavenly. Bit jealous. Beef tartare is my all-time favourite dish, but I've got some lovely octopus here. It's a very northwestern theme as well. Everything sourced from Stanley, is that right?
That's right, yep. So the octopus from Stanley, and then we've got some chickpeas, harissa, bit of sweet potato as well.
Beautiful.
Bit of kick in that dish, it's delicious.
Yeah, nice. And what about the beef tartare?
Cape Grim,
Yep.
smoked egg yolks, bit of radish, and then kind of classic bit of capers and onion in there as well. It's a beautiful dish.
Beautiful. Let's dig in. Dave, I saw a big cabinet in the front door there full of knives, and I noticed the same sort of knives here. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, so as a bit of a thank you to our regular guests, we'll organise a knife especially just for them.
It's a beautiful touch.
They'll have their initials engraved in there, and every time they come in to dine us and join us again, they'll get their own special knife from the cabinet.
And that just sits in the front cabinet until
Waiting
they
for
come.
them.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Isn't that beautiful? And I need to get some of these for home, although I feel like
You
these...
have to travel to France to get to them.
Okay, cool. And you wouldn't want to put them through a dishwasher, I imagine.
I wouldn't recommend it.
This scotch smells unbelievable. Such a smoky aroma coming off it.
Yep.
How did you get that into that steak?
Yeah, it's all about the grill and the fuel for the fire. So we get local distilleries to give us their old barrels. We crush them up and we use that as the smoke, as the fuel. So a lot of that whiskey flavour's getting through to that smoke, into that steak, and really polishing it off.
Oh, geez, mate. I'm salivating so much I can hardly wait. Before I lose the plot entirely, what else have we got here?
Yep, so we've got some local greens. Got yourself a béarnaise for that steak as well.
Yep.
Everything's made in-house, of course. Broccolini charred over that grill as well. And I've got some blue-eye trevella.
Jeez. My knife just hit it and just cut through. I didn't even have to pull it. Dave, this is genuinely the most tender steak I've ever tasted. How? I'm lost for words.
Yeah. We use the best cuts from the best producers down here in Tassie. So that's Wagyu beef.
Yep.
From the northwest, so from Robbins Island. So
Yep.
Best cattle we can find.
Ah, yes. The Hammond family, I know them pretty well. Yeah, it is phenomenal stuff. And what about him, preparing the meat? I mean, there's got to be something to that as well. I don't even have to cut this stuff.
It's all the grill and it's all the chef.
Incredible. Oh, well, you guys have... I'm, again, lost for words, mate.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. You're welcome.
Mate, that was absolutely exceptional. Tassie produce, creme caramel to finish off with. John Glover's artwork. I mean, didn't really know the guy coming in. Know him well now. What an amazing experience. Get down to landscape.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming in.
Cheers.
If your household enjoys Bolognese as much as my household enjoys them, you're looking at ways to sort of change the dish a little bit so that you're not having the same thing over and over again. But I guess the reason why you have it over and over again is because you like it. So this is an easy way to change it without giving up any of that really intense, rich bolognese flavour, which is the reason people love it. I'm going to swap out normally pork and beef mince to make a bolognese. It's traditionally pork and veal, but pork and beef is what most people use, a 50-50. I'm going to use chicken. So I'm making a sort of a blonde bolognese or a chicken bolognese. So I'm going to use chicken mince instead. And it does give it a different flavour and also gives it a different texture. You'll see that as we go through. So first things first, whenever you're making a good quality bolognese, start with a mirepoix. So I've got my main ingredients here for a mirepoix, which is celery, carrots and onion. I'm going to dice those up, and I've got some streaky bacon. I'll chop my streaky bacon up and that'll go in my pan. I'll cook that off. A little bit of oil just to get it going, but most of the oil that we need will come out of the bacon itself, and I'll cook this mirepoix in that bacon fat until it's nice and translucent, and then I'll add my chicken mince. I've added in my chicken mince, about 500 grams. I've now got some passata, about 500 mils. I've cooked off everything in there till it's got some colour to the outside of it. So I've cooked that mirepoix right through. The bacon's gone nice and crispy, and the chicken has started to brown. So it's ready to add the next. Actually, what I'll do first, pinch of salt, my passata. Anytime you add tomato puree, tomato paste, tinned tomatoes, tomato passata, anything like that to a dish, you're always going to need to add a fair amount of salt to go with it. Stir that in, and you'll start to see what I was talking about, a different colour and different texture that'll start to come out in the bolognese now. You can see those little pools of oil from the bacon, which is just an awesome flavour transfer. So having those little pools of oil in your tomato sauce is excellent. It means there's lots of flavour in there. Got some thyme. Just want the leaves of the thyme. Just grab a sprig and then just run your fingers backwards down the sprig. Like that, and your leaves will come off. So I want probably the leaves of 4 sprigs of thyme. Now I'm going to let it simmer for about 20 minutes. I'm going to add, I've got some chicken stock here, which I'm going to add on top of it and let it reduce down and simmer. And the chicken stock will intensify in flavour and give our chicken bolognese more of that sort of umami rich, savoury flavour that we want. Because we don't have the red meat in there, we need to get that savouriness from somewhere else. And that's going to come from reducing the chicken stock down. So just leave this on a simmer for about 20 minutes and add some chicken stock, probably every 5 minutes or so. And then it'll be ready to go. Because I've only got about 20 minutes left, about halfway through that cooking process, I can start cooking off my pasta. The pasta will take about 10 minutes. I'm using linguine. You can use spaghetti if you want. Classic long pasta for bolognese, so spaghetti or linguine, even something a little bit thicker like fettuccine. But again, my kids love spaghetti. They love being able to twist it around their fork. So we normally get one of the thinner spaghettis, so one with a lower number, probably a number 3 or a number 5. Number 3 if we can get it. they love being able to spin it around their little fork. But I just think the linguine has a better, for if you're an adult, I just think it tastes better. It has a better mouthfeel. So I'll let that simmer for 20 minutes, and in 10 minutes time, I'll add my pasta to my salted hot water. My sauce is reduced right down. You can see different colour, different texture in there, which is what we want, but it still looks nice and rich. And that's because we've reduced it over a 20-minute period, adding a little bit of a stock as we go. So it's a really rich, intense flavour, but it's going to have that different flavour with the chicken mince and that different texture. So I've got some of my linguine, just giving that a rinse under some hot water to wash off the starch so it doesn't stick together. Pop that into a bowl. And some of my bolognese on top. Chicken bolognese, like I said, if you are someone who eats bolognese a lot, if you've got kids who love it, like I do, and you want to come up with new and interesting ways to keep putting bolognese on the menu, try the chicken version. You might actually end up with a new favourite.